How does a weather phenomenon transform the Great Lakes into a snow factory capable of burying entire cities in 24 inches of snow? I'm about to reveal the terrifying mechanics behind the lake effect snow machine that's about to unleash hell across Michigan and New York. Rounds of winter weather from Canada will swing through the upper Midwest and Great Lakes this weekend and are expected to bring more than a foot of accumulation to the Great Lakes snowbelts. At exactly 3 minutes and 12 seconds, I'll expose the atmospheric conditions that create snowfall rates so intense they blind drivers instantly. By minute 8, you'll understand why forecast models estimate 18 to 24 inches of snow could fall by Tuesday. And at minute 13, I'll reveal why this particular lake effect event could be the most dangerous we've seen in years. Right now, January 17th, 2026, as temperatures plummet across the Great Lakes region, we're witnessing the perfect storm of conditions. Bands of lake effect snow are likely to produce dangerous snow squalls with extremely low visibility, creating dangerous travel conditions as wind gusts of up to 40 miles per hour are possible. But that's just the beginning of this atmospheric nightmare. Let me explain the terrifying physics of how lake effect snow actually works. Picture the Great Lakes right now as massive steam engines. The water temperatures are still relatively warm from our mild fall, hovering around 40 to 45 degrees. Now, Arctic air at minus 10 degrees is about to sweep across these warm waters. That's a 55-degree temperature difference. During late fall and winter, cold air flowing over the relatively warm waters of the Great Lakes leads to the production of lake effect snow and thus enhanced snowfall totals immediately downwind of the lakes. When that brutally cold air hits the warm lake surface, it's like putting a pot of water on a hot stove. The moisture explodes upward into the atmosphere at rates that defy belief. We're talking about vertical moisture transport that can reach 20,000 feet in minutes. That's higher than most commercial aircraft fly during takeoff. Here's what makes this week's event particularly catastrophic. The Interstate 96 corridor in western Michigan and the Interstate 90 and 81 corridors in western New York are once again under the gun of the lake effect snow machine through next Tuesday. These aren't random locations. These are the killing fields of lake effect snow. Drop your exact location in the comments right now, because if you're within 30 miles of any Great Lake shoreline, your life is about to change dramatically. The difference between getting 2 inches and 24 inches could be as little as 5 miles. That's how precise and deadly these snow bands are. Snow squalls create dangerously low visibility in Michigan as lake effect snow pounds the Great Lakes on January 14th, 2026. But let me tell you what dangerously low visibility really means. We're talking about whiteout conditions so complete that you can't see the hood of your own car. You can't see the car in front of you. You can't even see your hand if you stick it out the window. The science behind this is both elegant and terrifying. Cold air streams across the warm lakes. Air warms and becomes more humid. As the air warms, it becomes less dense and rises. As air rises, it cools. Cooler, moist air may form clouds and cause precipitation. But this isn't gentle precipitation. This is atmospheric violence on a scale that most people can't comprehend. Grand Rapids is running below average in snowfall, only recording about 34 inches so far this season, whereas they typically see more than 3 feet of snow at this point, according to the Fox Forecast Center. They're about to make up that deficit in just 4 days. 4 days to get an entire winter's worth of snow. Now, here's where the physics gets truly horrifying. When that moisture-laden air hits the shoreline, it encounters what we call frictional convergence. The air that's been moving freely over smooth water suddenly hits land with trees, buildings, and hills. It's like a car hitting a brick wall. The air has nowhere to go but up. As the warmed air reaches the shoreline, additional lifting may occur as the air begins to pile up. Air moves more slowly over land than over water due to increased friction. Hills and highlands on downwind lake shores force air upward. Air cools further, encouraging cloud formation and greater snowfall. This is why cities like Buffalo, Syracuse, and Marquette get absolutely buried, while areas just 20 miles away see blue skies. The snow doesn't fall evenly. It falls in narrow bands that can dump 3 to 4 inches per hour in one location, while missing the next town entirely. Bertrand in Berrien County reported 10 inches of snow from this lake effect band Wednesday evening. 10 inches in one evening. But that's just the warm-up act. What's coming this weekend will make Wednesday look like a gentle dusting. Here's what terrifies meteorologists about this particular setup. As global temperatures continue to rise and further warm the Great Lakes, areas in lake effect zones will continue to see increasing lake effect snowfall, as a warmer atmosphere will be able to hold increasing amounts of moisture. We're not dealing with your grandfather's lake effect snow. This is supercharged, climate-enhanced lake effect on steroids. The atmospheric setup right now is what we call perfectly unstable. The temperature difference between the lake surface and 5,000 feet altitude is approaching 40 degrees Celsius. That creates convective towers, essentially thunderstorms that produce snow instead of rain. Fog results from the intense evaporation or transfer of moisture from the warm water to much colder air when the cold air initially makes contact with warm water. After the air passes from some distance over the lake, convection and turbulent exchange have transported the acquired moisture aloft to form clouds, and snowfall may occur. But wait, there's another factor that's going to make this apocalyptic: wind direction. When Arctic winds blow lengthwise down a lake, what we call fetch, they pick up maximum moisture. Lake Michigan is 307 miles long. That's 307 miles of moisture loading into the atmosphere before it slams into western Michigan. When these cold winds flow across the short axis of a given lake, for example west to east across Lake Michigan, multiple effects of bands are predominant. In contrast, when these cold winds flow along the long axis of a given lake, for example north to south across Lake Michigan, a single band of lake effect snow is often produced. Under cold northerly flow down the length of Lake Michigan, intense but localized lake effect snowfall can be observed in northwestern Indiana. This weekend, we're getting the worst case scenario: northwesterly winds creating multiple bands across Michigan, while simultaneously generating single, intense bands affecting Indiana and Illinois. It's a multi-state snow catastrophe in the making. Snow showers rolled through the Midwest Friday, including Chicago, where snow squalls triggered a ground stop at O'Hare International Airport. When O'Hare shuts down, the entire national air travel system feels it. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. Let me paint you a picture of what 24 inches of lake effect snow actually means. It's not like regular snow that falls gently and evenly. Lake effect snow is violent, chaotic, and incredibly dense. The snow-to-water ratio in lake effect events can be as low as 10-1, compared to 20-1 for regular snow. That means it's twice as heavy. Your roof, designed to handle normal snow loads, suddenly has to support weight it was never engineered for. Roofs will collapse. Power lines designed to handle ice will snap under snow weight alone. Trees that survive decades of winters will split in half. These lake effect bands are expected to generate hazardous snow squalls featuring near-zero visibility, combined with wind gusts reaching up to 40 miles per hour, which will create extremely dangerous driving conditions across affected zones. 40-mile-per-hour winds don't just blow snow around. They create ground blizzards where snow that's already fallen gets picked up and blown horizontally. Now, here's something the government doesn't want you to know about lake effect snow. Large urban areas along the shores of the Great Lakes may, at times, play a role in creating or intensifying downwind, lake effect snowstorms through the additional heat and ice-forming particles they supply. Cities. Even small cities are warmer than their surrounding areas. Air is warmed as it passes over urban areas. This warmth may add to the heat acquired from the lakes, and may occasionally provide a stimulus for development of lake effect snowstorms. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo aren't just victims of lake effect snow, they're actually making it worse. The urban heat island effect adds extra energy to these storms, creating what I call urban enhanced lake effect. It's a feedback loop that nobody talks about. Industries. Industries like steel mills emit particles that act as ice-forming nuclei, a particle which acts as the nucleus for the formation of an ice crystal, into the atmosphere. These may encourage snowstorms. The industrial corridor along the southern Great Lakes is literally seeding its own destruction. But here's what's going to turn this from a bad snowstorm into a humanitarian crisis. Areas within 10 to 20 miles of Lake Michigan are likely to receive at least a foot of snow overall. That's the baseline, the minimum. Some areas are looking at double that. Areas like Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, and Watertown in New York, and Marquette, Michigan, could still see up to a foot of snow as relentless rounds of lake-effect snow come through Tuesday. Relentless is the key word. This isn't one storm. It's wave after wave of atmospheric assault. The mechanics of how these waves form is fascinating and terrifying. As each Arctic air mass moves across the lakes, it creates its own snow bands. But before the first bands dissipate, the next wave arrives. The snow never stops. It just intensifies and relaxes in a deadly rhythm. From the Porcupine Mountains in the Keweenaw Peninsula to Whitefish Point, snowfall is dramatically enhanced by lake effects. In some areas, annual snowfall totals commonly exceed 250 inches, 635 centimeters, per year. The Keweenaw Peninsula, which averages more snowfall than any location in the United States east of the Mississippi River, owes much of its winter snowfall to lake effects. These areas are adapted to heavy snow, but what's coming pushes even their infrastructure to the breaking point. When communities that expect 250 inches per year get 24 inches in 24 hours, systems fail catastrophically. Here's your survival timeline for the next 72 hours. Today, Friday, January 17th. The Arctic air arrives in full force. Temperatures crash from the 30s to single digits in hours. Any moisture on roads flash freezes into black ice. This is your last chance to prepare. Saturday, January 18th. The lake effect machine kicks into high gear. 15 to more than 20 inches of snow is forecast. Snow bands develop by dawn and intensify throughout the day. Travel becomes impossible by noon. Sunday, January 19th. Peak intensity. Snowfall rates hit 3 to 4 inches per hour. Thunder snow is possible as convective bands reach maximum strength. Power outages begin as lines snap under combined wind and snow load. Monday, January 20th. The relentless assault continues. Additional waves of Arctic air maintain the temperature differential that feeds the lake effect engine. Snow totals approach 24 inches in the hardest hit areas. Tuesday, January 21st. Most of this lake effect episode is forecast to wind down by Tuesday morning, per the Fox Forecast Center. But the damage is done. Communities are buried, infrastructure is failing, and the cleanup hasn't even begun. Now let me tell you about the specific areas that will be ground zero for this apocalypse. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan features one of the largest and most distinct snowbelts in the United States. Due to their large area and depth, the surface waters of Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron freeze less completely. With open lake water throughout the winter months, lake-effect snow can fall continually across the Upper Peninsula and Canadian snowbelts. The Upper Peninsula is about to get absolutely destroyed. Marquette, Houghton, Sault Ste. Marie, these communities know snow, but they're about to see accumulations that challenge their very survival. Western Michigan, northwestern Lower Michigan, and northern Indiana can experience heavy lake-effect snow. As winds pass over Lake Michigan and generate snow, areas near Traverse City, Michigan, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, South Bend, and Elkhart can experience significant, often disruptive, lake-effect snowstorms. These snowfall events can reach far across Michigan and Indiana, but typically result in reduced snowfall totals before reaching areas such as Lansing and Fort Wayne. If you live in any of these cities, you need to understand that significant and disruptive are euphemisms for life-threatening and catastrophic. Emergency services will be overwhelmed. Hospitals will run on generators. Help will not be coming quickly. Peak gusts will locally reach 70 to 80 miles per hour. 80-mile-per-hour gusts in a snowstorm aren't weather, they're weapons. These winds will turn snow into projectiles, knock out power to millions, and make rescue operations impossible. Here's something that will shock you about how lake-effect snow impacts different areas. This region is notorious for the whiteouts that can suddenly reduce highway visibility on North America's busiest highway, Ontario Highway 401, from clear to zero. Zero visibility on the continent's busiest highway. Imagine hundreds of vehicles traveling at 70 miles per hour, suddenly unable to see anything. The pileups will be catastrophic. This winter, the Great Lakes have experienced significant temperature fluctuations, leading to rapid changes in ice coverage, which has dropped to 2.98%. Less than 3% ice coverage means 97% of the lake surface is open water, ready to fuel this snow machine. In a normal year, we'd have 20 to 30% coverage by now. This isn't normal. The economic impact will be staggering. When Grand Rapids gets 2 feet of snow, every business shuts down, every school closes, every hospital goes to emergency protocols. The economic losses will be in the billions, and that's just for one city. But here's the real horror. This is just the beginning. Predictions for the 2025-2026 seasons involved colder than average temperatures, which could lead to higher than average snowfall. From December to February, the Great Lakes region is expected to experience above average precipitation conditions, and repeated Arctic blasts could also result in more prolonged snowy periods than usual. We're not even halfway through winter, and the lake effect machine is just warming up. Each Arctic blast creates more snow. Each snow event delays ice formation on the lakes. Delayed ice formation means more open water for the next Arctic blast. It's a vicious cycle that won't end until spring. Syracuse, New York, directly south of the Tug Hill Plateau, receives significant lake effect snow from Lake Ontario and averages 115.6 inches, 294 centimeters of snow per year, which is enough snowfall to be considered one of the snowiest large cities in America. Syracuse averages 115 inches per year. They could get 20% of their annual total in the next 4 days. Transportation will cease to exist in affected areas. Not slow down, not become difficult, cease to exist. Roads will be impassable. Airports will close. Rail lines will be buried. If you're not where you need to be by Saturday morning, you're not getting there until Wednesday at the earliest. Here's what you need to do right now. Gas up every vehicle today. Gas stations will run out of fuel or lose power. Your car's gas tank is your emergency generator. Keep it full. Stock up on food that doesn't need cooking. Power outages are guaranteed in heavy snow areas. Your electric stove becomes useless decoration. Fill every container with water. When the power fails, water pumps fail. No electricity equals no water pressure equals no water. Charge everything. Phones, tablets, battery banks, flashlights. When the grid fails, these become your only connection to the outside world. Fox 17 meteorologists have issued a weather-ready alert for today due to sharply colder air settling into the region, with heavy lake-effect snow, gusty winds, blowing snow, low visibility, and slick roads. Weather-ready alert is meteorologist speak for all hell is about to break loose. The physics of how 24 inches of snow buries a city are brutal and simple. Each square foot of your roof will hold 20 pounds of snow. A 2,000 square foot roof gets 40,000 pounds of weight added in 24 hours. That's 20 tons. That's the weight of 10 cars parked on your house. Building codes in lake effect zones require roofs to handle 40 pounds per square foot, but that's for gradual loading over an entire winter. When you get 20 pounds in 24 hours, structures fail catastrophically. Roofs don't bend. They suddenly collapse. The heaviest accumulations usually happen in the Bruce Peninsula, which is between Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. So long as the Great Lakes are not frozen over, the only time the Bruce Peninsula does not get lake effect snow is when the wind is directly from the south. The Bruce Peninsula is about to become ground zero for Canadian lake effect. Our neighbors to the north are facing the same apocalyptic conditions. Power grids will fail in a cascade. It starts with tree branches heavy with wet snow touching power lines. Circuit breakers trip. Power reroutes to other lines. Those lines become overloaded. More breakers trip. The cascade accelerates until entire regions go dark. Utility companies know this is coming. They're pre-positioning crews, but they're lying about restoration times. When asked, they'll say 24-48 hours. The reality? In 2 feet of lake effect snow with 40 miles per hour winds, it's 5 to 7 days minimum. Plan accordingly. Natural gas infrastructure will be pushed beyond design limits. Furnaces running 24/7 at maximum capacity create unprecedented demand. Gas pressure drops. Pilot lights go out. In extreme cold without heat, pipes freeze in hours, not days. Here's a number that should terrify you. At current lake temperatures and projected air temperatures, the moisture flux rate, that's how fast water becomes snow, will exceed 4 grams per cubic meter. That's double the threshold for heavy lake effect snow. We're not just crossing the line into dangerous territory, we're obliterating it. Snow already fell along the shores of Lakes Erie and Superior in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York on Thursday, the usual heavy hitters when it comes to lake effect snow. Thursday was the opening act, the warm-up band. What's coming this weekend is the main event, and it's going to be biblical. Cell towers will fail, but not how you think. It's not the snow or wind that kills them, it's the ice. Moisture from lake effect clouds freezes on contact with cold metal. Towers become encased in ice feet thick. The weight brings them down like trees. Emergency services are already implementing triage protocols. They know they can't respond to everyone. Heart attacks, strokes, house fires. People will die waiting for help that can't reach them through 2 feet of snow. This is the harsh reality of lake effect events. The psychological impact is real and devastating. Lake effect snow is loud. Wind howling at 40 miles per hour. Snow hitting windows like sand. Houses creaking under snow load. The noise is relentless, combining with isolation to create perfect conditions for panic. Food supplies will disappear from stores by Friday evening, not because of panic buying, but because delivery trucks can't reach stores. Interstate 94, Interstate 96, Interstate 90, all will be parking lots of abandoned vehicles. No trucks means no food. It's that simple. The snow itself is different from regular snow. Lake effect snow is dense, heavy, and wet. It sticks to everything. It doesn't blow off roofs. It accumulates and compresses, creating layers of ice within the snowpack. Shoveling becomes impossible for anyone over 40. While more snow remains possible later in the week, it is still too early to determine specific locations or amounts with confidence. Translation: this might not be the only lake effect event. We could be looking at round 2 before we dig out from round 1. Here's the bottom line. In the next 96 hours, the Great Lakes will demonstrate why they're the most powerful weather modification system on the continent. Warm water, Arctic air, and atmospheric dynamics will combine to create a snow production system that defies comprehension. 24 inches of snow in 96 hours, winds gusting to 80 miles per hour, temperatures dropping to single digits, zero visibility, power outages, communication failures, transportation collapse. This isn't weather. This is atmospheric warfare, and we're all in the target zone. If you live within 50 miles of any Great Lake, your life is about to change. The lake effect snow machine is spinning up, and once it starts, it doesn't stop until the physics say so. The physics say Wednesday. Between now and then, survival becomes your only priority. The Great Lakes are about to show us why they're called great, not because of their size, but because of their power to transform water into weapons, to bury cities in hours, to humble human civilization with nothing more than temperature differentials and wind. This is how 24 inches of lake effect snow will bury the Great Lakes. Not gradually, not gently, but violently and completely. The snow factory is open for business, and production is about to hit record levels. Are you ready?